Real defenders, they shiver. Goalkeepers nervous, strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hello there, football fans. You're welcome to the channel. So, Spurs' official bid has been rejected. Obviously, it should be rejected. Well, I guess that's Chelsea fan in me saying that. But that shows that West Ham are willing to trade, willing to listen to offers. And I think the fact that they've reduced the asking price from a whooping £85 million to £60 million means that they're willing to trade. I know now fans, ownership groups of clubs like to get the best deal, just like in every facet of life. You want to get the best deal, you want to get the most cost-efficient, cost-effective deal for yourself. But in today's market, for a player like Kudus to be available for £60 million and a club like Spurs, and you need a player of his ability, of his quality, I don't see the need why you want to lowball, make a lowball offer. Why not just go on, make the offer, get the deal done, and get the player in the building, as opposed to taking so long and then before you know it, clubs like Chelsea step in and snap the players off your fingers. So I'll share my screen in a minute and then we will continue with the story. But first of all, I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are with respect to this deal. Do you think it will work? Do you think it will eventually work? Do you think it's something that Spurs, can indeed do? Well, I think Spurs are a very wealthy club. I think they have a very wealthy owner. So they should be able to match West Ham's demands for it. So that's it. So West Ham have rejected Tottenham's opening bid for Mohamed Kudus. Sources have told Transfer Insiders that an offer of £50 million rather, plus an additional £5 million in add-ons for a 24-year-old, have been rejected. For me, at this point in time, when clubs like Chelsea will be looking around, Manchester United haven't gotten all their targets, so they'll have their eyes, set on getting a replacement for Mbeumo, who they have not been able to sign at this point. At some point in the market, Manchester United will get desperate. I know they're playing hardball with Mbeumo. Some of their fans are going on about, we have to get the best deal. We don't want to be desperate. We don't want to make the same mistakes we made, in previous transfer windows. But what they forget to understand is a lot of those mistakes we have made because Manchester United waited too long until they became desperate to get deals done. So Spurs should quickly, and Chelsea, if you want to get Kudus, we don't need this drama because it seems every season Chelsea props up drama. Chelsea, we don't need this drama. Just get the player signed up if you want him. If you don't want him, that's fine. Then you move on to other targets. There's no need to play hardball trying to get a player. And then when we talk about fit, Kudus, where would he fit in? I think he is sort of like an improved version of João Pedro. He can play multiple positions up front, but he's not quite a 9. He's more of a 10 than a winger. So that means he'll be competing for, a starting berth with Cole Palmer, which is fair, which is one thing I want, because no matter how good a player is, the player needs to be able to look, over his shoulders and see competition and see someone who's willing to take his dinner. Because if you allow players to just, feel like they have no competition, they can play badly, they can play good, they can be excellent today and be bad for like 10 games in a row, and there's no one able to take their spot, then where is the motivation for them to play better? Where's the motivation for them to get good? So for me, I think the player like Kudus maybe should be signed up at Chelsea. And João Pedro, I know he can play a number of positions, a couple of positions, but I think he will be played more in that striking role, because if you remember last season, Enzo Maresca said his ideal striker would be another Nicholas Jackson. So, but that he means a striker who has a bit of variety to his play, not really an out-and-out striker, So that's kind of player, that kind of striker that he is looking for. So I think João Pedro will play as a striker. I think he'll play as a striker. But back to the Kudus thing, I think they should act fast, Spurs, if they really want him, or they're going to lose out. Speaking about losing out, I think Ebere seems set to head to Arsenal. If that deal happens, I think it will be a very good move for Ebere. But the question with Ebere is this: if you're signing him as a 10 to compete with Odegaard, then that's a brilliant move. Brilliant move. Because I think he is better than Odegaard. That's just me. But Arsenal fans can make that decision. But if Arsenal are looking at Ebere as a right winger or a left winger, then that would be the worst decision Arsenal will ever make. It will be the worst decision that Arsenal will make, because you will hate him. You will criticize Eze if you play him as a winger. Now, there's one thing being a wide midfielder that he can hold the ball, come back into the middle of play, dovetail off other central midfielders, let your fullback make runs ahead of you. That's a different thing. But actually playing as a winger to hold width, to stretch play, you are going to struggle. Ebere as a midfielder through the middle, he has that little burst of pace to take him beyond as centre backs, to take him beyond midfielders. But if you play him as a winger, definitely you're going to struggle. And this brings me to my usual point of regret each time I talk about Ebere. He was so close to playing for Nigeria. But Nigeria Football Federation, you stunk up the building. You stunk up the building. It was there. He was ready. He was wearing that Nigerian shirt. He was almost there to play for Nigeria. But somehow, some way, we blew that opportunity. Could have been that JJ Okocha replacement in that 10 position behind the striker. But what can we say? He's chosen to play for England, and I don't blame him that much, because a lot of these players, when they're young, they want to play for Nigeria. When they're 17, 18, they want to play. But sometimes the Nigerian Football Federation just makes everything so difficult for these players. And then when they get older, 21, 22, they opt to play for, a different country. So in that regard, you can blame them. But for the likes of Kevin Shada, I can always blame you, because you're asking, you don't even know what Nigeria is. I get who I say you don't even think about Nigeria. For those type of players, I will always blame you. So, Arsenal fans, are you happy with your link to Ebere? And where do you think he would fit in if you were Mikel Arteta? Or rather, if you had Mikel Arteta's ear today, where would you advise him to play Eze? For me, he's a 10. You just watch a player sometimes for 2 seconds, for 5 minutes, where they're meant to play. But now we've come modern day football where they use one little attribute that a player has and then decide to play him out of position. We've seen it with Chelsea. Enzo Maresca decided, for whatever weird reason, Malo Gusto, Reece James, and now midfielders for whatever crazy reason. And some fans are buying into it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Play him in the midfield. He's a midfielder. It makes no sense to me when you have like 5 defensive midfielders already in the team. You refuse to play them. So Ebere, I think he is a 10. He is someone that should be signed by Arsenal as competition. As competition for Odegaard, or replacement for Odegaard, whichever way you look at it. If they're looking for a left winger, I know another Nigerian player that you could go for, and this one actually gets to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and that's Ademola Lookman. I think he suits that position to a T. For Arsenal, at least, you could have balance, as you could have balance on the left side. He'll be able to replicate what Bukayo Saka does on the right. So you get it. You have that balance. That's one thing I always want for teams, and that's what I always talk about with Chelsea. You need to have that balance. But Arsenal, I think, needs to have that balance as well. At Arsenal right now, you have Bukayo Saka doing what he does on the right, and no one else is there to replicate that sort of form or output on the left. And that's why you box out Bukayo Saka, then everything goes to absolute potty. So let me know some opinions, Arsenal fans, about Ebere being linked to your club. Now, speaking about players that are eligible to play for Nigeria, that could play for Nigeria, I talked about Ebere, lost that one out. He's now playing for England. Bukayo Saka incidentally plays for he's playing for England as well. But there's this player. He is honest. Ahanor. He is eligible to play for Nigeria right now. He's on the books of Italian Serie A side Genoa. but he has been attracting interest, and it does seem like one club is very, very close to snagging him up to getting his signature on that dotted line, and that is Ademola Lookman's present club, Atalanta. So I'll share my screen in a moment. I'll read off the article, and then I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this player, and I'll give you my own opinion about the player, as well. So I'll just share this. So Atalanta on the brink of confirming the signing of Italian-born Nigerian defender Honest Ahanor from Genoa. According to transfer market guru Fabrizio Romano, he replaces Italy under-21 international Matteo Ruggeri, who has been linked with an imminent transfer to Atletico Madrid. The 2024 Europa League winners have secured Ahanor's signature in a deal worth 20 million euros, including 50 million euros guaranteed and a further 5 million euros in performance-related add-ons. His move to the Nerazzurri makes him Nigeria's joint most expensive 17-year-old in history, matching 20 million euros deal that took Georgie Lenikena from Royal Antwerp to AS Monaco last summer. Now, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this sort of deal, on this player. I mean, I think it's a good move for him if it does materialize, because he is a very attack-minded wing back. And Atalanta, they play 3-4-3, so 3 center backs, 2 central midfielders that go box to box, and 2 wingers and 2 wing backs. Sorry. So I think he will thrive there as well. And just a little bit sad because he would have been a perfect foil for Ademola Lookman, where you could have both of them on that on same side of the pitch. But unfortunately, Ademola Lookman is coming towards the end of his deal, and like I said, he should not sign a new contract if he indeed wants to leave, or else he would have some, ridiculous bad clause or release clause, slammed, on his head, and maybe not be able to leave. So that means Ademola Lookman could be leaving while you're having, Honest Ahanor joining the club. Now, one thing is funny, because I went to a YouTube channel and I was watching his moves, and then I think the YouTube channel rightly, in my opinion, described him as Nigerian, But then some fan, I'm guessing he's Italian as well, came on to say he's Italian, not Nigerian. Now, that's what I don't get. For me, I'm okay. I'm okay with the way the present FIFA rules are, where the player gets to choose where he plays for. If he's a dual national, and if you have Italian nationality and Nigerian nationality, you can make a choice. You can choose where you want to play for. You can choose who you want to play for. For me, I'm 100% open to that. I'm 100% like that. But to come on and tell me, oh no, he's not a Nigerian, he's Italian. No, I just said it up. I just said it up in my opinion. So what is his opinion on this player? I think once again, like I always say when I talk about dual nationals, in fact, about any Nigerian talent at all, NFF, keep your eyes on this player. I'm not saying immediately bring him to Spigos. No, he's still very, very young, 17 years old. But keep your eyes on him. And I must say this, the fact that Atalanta have decided to spend, 50 million euros on, this player, that means he must be very, very good. Why I say this is, first off, Italian clubs are not usually in the business of spending too much money for players. They always look for the best deal for their club. They always look for the best deal possible. And they try to get the best out of that player. And then Atalanta, though they won the Europa League, of course, with Ademola Lookman, scoring that wonderful hat-trick, amazing hat-trick, I must say, in the final, they're not, I don't think they've ever been Serie A's biggest clubs, the traditional big clubs in Serie A. You've got Juventus, you've got AC Milan, you've got Inter Milan. Those are the real big clubs in Serie A. And really, most clubs can't really compete with them. So for a club like Atalanta to spend 50 million euros on a youngster, that means they must really rate the player, and there must be something good about him. And I've seen a few of his clips, and I'll be doing more research on the player as time goes on. I say he is a fantastic talent. Keep your eyes on that player. Who knows, in the next 2-3 years, he might end up in the Premier League, and maybe someone will pay 70 million euros for the player. Now, talking about fees, transfer fees for players, apparently Bayern Munich have had a bid for, Luis Diaz rejected by Liverpool. And for me, the question is, Liverpool, what do you want to do with Luis Diaz? You want to use him, or you want to let him go? Now, for me, of course, I'm not a Liverpool fan. I want Liverpool to lose, because if they lose, that means Chelsea has one less team to worry about. But if you were looking for some balance in that squad, I think Luis Diaz probably should be let go, and a more efficient goal scoring, left winger should be introduced to the team. But there you go. Maybe that's how transfer usually works. You make your first offer, the club rejects it, and then you have to go back and see if you can up your offer for you, and then you make a new one to Liverpool, and let's see how that shakes down. So, Liverpool fan, do you want Luis Diaz to leave? You think he's done his best at Liverpool? You think his time is done, time is spent, and you want someone else? And maybe Liverpool should take the offer quickly, or maybe they could make a deal with Napoli, because apparently there are talks about Liverpool being linked to the signature of Victor Osimhen. They talks about using Nunes, as a make weight for the deal. So Nunes plus some money, Nunes plus some cash for Victor Osimhen. Now, this is what Chelsea could have done, but those wise guys, Chelsea board refused to do that deal, and we are where we are. So, if I was Liverpool ownership, a player like Nunes, Napoli willing to take a player like Nunes, wow, I would package him up with whatever amount of money that was needed and get Victor Osimhen. And I'll tell you this, if Liverpool get Victor Osimhen, in addition to Mo Salah, in addition to Florian Wirtz, every other Premier League club just begin to battle for second. Every other Premier League club just find a way to negotiate to see if the second spot could be a new title, Premier League second spot winners, because Mo Salah will get you 20 plus goals, easy. Florian Wirtz will probably get you on that 10, 11 goals with additional 10 to 15 assists. And Victor Osimhen will get you 20 goals, easy. So that if Liverpool get Osimhen or get Isak, that's it. That's it done. That's it absolutely done. Now, speaking about done deals, Chelsea have done it. They've officially announced João Pedro, as a Chelsea player. Now, I like that everything has been done quickly, announced. He will even play. He's even has a chance to play for, Chelsea in that semi-final, in the quarterfinal against Palmeiras. So that's good. But overall, for me, the question is, where does he fit in? Where does he play? Because you could have too many things, and then you're wondering, what do I use this for? Like, you can have 5 Ferraris, but the fifth one doesn't have as much value as the first one, in my opinion. Now, I'm saying João Pedro. He's not an out and out 9. That's someone you just look at and say, boom, he's the number 9. He's the one you've got to pick ahead of Jackson. He's the one you pick as competition for Liam Delap. You still look at him and say, oh, maybe he plays as a 10 sometimes. Maybe he can play as a left winger. So he's one of these players where you wonder where you're going to play. Like I said, on my other channel, Up Chelsea TV, you can go and subscribe to the channel right now, or preferably after you finish watching this video. I did say this, that getting João Pedro on the face of it is nice, but where is he going to play? Now, there have been talks about, Enzo Maresca tweaking his system a bit to make Cole Palmer an inverted forward, inverted right forward. But I said this, Cole Palmer will struggle under under Enzo Maresca's system if he plays as an invited right forward. And these are my reasons. First off, Cole Palmer, he's a willing runner, but he's in no way, shape, or form electric. He's in no way, shape, or form super fast. He is not. Secondly, Enzo Maresca doesn't allow his fullbacks to overlap. For whatever reason, Enzo Maresca has fullbacks playing as sixes, or some crazy moments he has them playing as eights. So when you have your fullback so tucked into midfield, how then do you think someone like a Cole Palmer can thrive when you usually have your wingers doubled up on? Cole Palmer is a 10. He is a 10. No more, the issue with modern day coaches right now is everyone wants to be a revolutionary. Everyone wants to be a freedom fighter. No one really wants to be an everyday coach. Everyone wants to be the one that changes the game. Oh, I came up with this new style of play. Oh, I changed this goalkeeper and made him a striker. That's why we won the league. As opposed to getting a good goalkeeper, having him in goal, getting an established number 9, having him as a striker. Modern day coaches, modern day players, modern day coaches, they always want to come up with ways of changing the game. And a lot of the times they fall flat on their face. Now, João Pedro, very good technical player, high energy, can play the pressing game, but where does he fit in? Same thing about Nkunku. Although Nkunku doesn't have the high pressing, but highly technical player, can score lots of goals, consummate finisher, ticks a lot of boxes. But he struggles because he doesn't have a particular spot where he can fit in. Now, João Pedro, if you were playing, let's say, 3-4-3, or any sort of formation that had to do with one forward up front and two, forwards or 2 10s playing behind the striker, where you have some burden of scoring goals on those 2 10s, then I would say João Pedro would be a perfect fit for that sort of formation. Like for Manchester United, for instance, if you had Mbeumo, Cunha, and then you had João Pedro, or even if you had, I know Manchester United fans don't like Højlund at this moment, they don't rate him. If you had a Højlund as a 10, as a 9, sorry, Cunha in that 10 role, and then João Pedro in the other 10 role behind that striker, I think that's a formation where he would try. He would absolutely try it. Now, I know what's going to happen is he's going to play as a striker. Enzo Maresca is going to play João Pedro as a striker. But the issue is that where we get the best from him? Really? But let's see how it goes. Good announcement has been made. The contract has been signed. The long-term contract as usual. Chelsea contracts are usually like prison terms, almost 10 years. You're sentenced to 10 years being a Chelsea player. But anyway, signed a long-term deal to 2033. That's long time. But a good deal. Probably that's the way. One of the ways you can protect your asset as a football club. You get your player tied to you for long term. If you have 2-3 good seasons and a club like Real Madrid or Bayern Munich comes in for a signature, then you can say, okay, we still have the upper hand. We can go on to ask for still maybe a crazy amount and say 150, 200 million pounds, and then Real Madrid will have to pay that because that's you still have a lot of years on his contract. Just give me a break and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Yeah, so I am back now. So talking about two transfers. So just give you a quick recap of what I've talked about so far in terms of transfers, and then we'll continue with the show. So first off, we talked about, or not really first off, we talked about Liverpool rejecting an offer from Bayern Munich for Luis Diaz. Liverpool fans, that's something you're happy with, or something that you're a bit indifferent about, or you would rather, have had Liverpool accepted that bid, let him go, and then you rebuild that left wing. So those opinions on Luis Diaz. And I talked about a Nigerian eligible wing back that has been signed by Atalanta for 20 million euros with 50 million euros guaranteed. For me, that's excellent news. So yet another Nigerian eligible talent going to a top club, at least a club that always be in European competitions, whether Europa League or in the Champions League, and then he gets to grow. And for me, I've said it, NFF, you have to keep your eyes on these talent, not just the dual nationals like honest, but homegrown talents as well, because Super Eagles, under 20s, under 17s, you need talents. You need talents. If you want to dominate football, you don't have to restrict yourself to players, whether they're based in Nigeria or they're outside of the country, whether they were born and brought up in Nigeria or they were born and brought up in other parts of the country, or in other parts of the world, rather. Now, talking about, players, talking about players who are able to play for Nigeria, there's another one that has been signed by Charlton, Olaofe Tanto. Olaofe, I think the deal is reported to be worth £1.5 million. So he is a new player for Charlton Athletic. He was signed from Stockport. So he is 25 years old. So in this day and time, he's getting on. I wouldn't say getting on in years. I think he's 2 years away from his prime, in my opinion. But in this modern day football, clubs like Chelsea with their whole data model have made fans, to suddenly think that once you're past 22, you are now ancient. Once you've shaved more than 5 times, you're now too old to be signed by a club. I'm not saying he's Chelsea level. I'm not saying he should be signed by Chelsea, whatever. I'm just saying 25-year-old, 25 years as a player isn't ancient. You can still do a lot in your life, your regular everyday life, and a lot in your career as a footballer. So, Tanto Laufe, wish you all the best. Hope he becomes good. Hope he plays very well. Scores tons and tons of goals, for Charlton. And like I said, I'm not saying bring him to Spikes or anything. Just keep your eyes on the player and watch him as he progresses and keep in touch. Because for me, the interview that Chuba Akpom had with Omar Okatuba, for me, it really struck home, because a lot of these players who say, "Oh, you're arrogant, you're crazy, you don't want to play for don't want to play for the motherland," and things of that nature. But sometimes people forget that these players also don't have that link to Nigeria sometimes, and the NFF should do that, have that responsibility to do it, because other countries are in this same situation as well, but they seem to manage it better. For instance, you have what Morocco is doing, to Algeria doing. So when you see what your competition is doing, sometimes it's not a crime for you to look at what your competition is doing and say, okay, I'm going to copy what you do a bit, and integrate it to my system. Of course, Coca-Cola had Diet Coke, and Pepsi came up with Diet Pepsi. So sometimes you look at what your competition is doing and say, okay, we'll take a bit of what you're doing and implement it in our own way. So want to keep an eye on for sure. Tanto Ola Ofe, now an addict, now a Charlton player. So that's some opinions on the basic transfer news. And then we also talked about REJECTED&Eze, heading to Arsenal. There was talk of him heading to Spurs, but apparently he's on his way to Arsenal. For me, like I said, the deal would only be worth it if Mikel Arteta decides to be a coach and suspend every delusion of being an engineer or being a researcher, and decides to play him in one weird position. Play him in a 10 role, you would enjoy having him in there. So if you play him out wide as some sort of hybrid midfielder winger, then he's going to absolutely struggle. And then you begin to say we spend too much on him. And speaking about another player that might reject Spurs, we talked about Mohamed Kudus, the Ghanaian international, currently on the books of West Ham. The reports are Tottenham Hotspur made an offer for the player and have got that offer rejected. Now, there's also been talk about Chelsea being interested in the player. Now, I've said it, if you are Chelsea, if you want this player, if you want the services of this player, there's no need to dally. There's no need to, act like this some sort of super proud, like this some sort of episode of Dynasty. This is transfer. Go on and sign the player. Because there are some clubs, I tell you, in this transfer window, people think nothing is happening. But they are powerful clubs. You may not like them. Like for me, I do not like Manchester United at all. If I have my way, Manchester United will be liquidated. But I don't have my way. That's still an important club. That's still a top club. That's still a club that can spend and get a player like this. Mbeumo is a player they're going back and forth for, but they could get desperate. And when they get desperate, they could go in for Kudus. And then you're like, oh, what happened? And then when they're desperate, you know what happens? They would pay everything that West Ham United would request. I'm not saying Chelsea, you must go for him, but for me, I don't want that I don't want any Osimhen-esque story. Oh, we were almost close. We almost got him. We should have got him. Oh, a few minutes and should have signed him. No. If you don't want a player, that's fine. Go on your merry way. But don't come up with some crazy PR when you fail to sign a player. If you want to sign Kudus, go ahead and sign him. Go ahead and sign him. And of course, according to certain reports, Enzo Maresca wants 8 forwards or even 9 forwards that are able to play in a variety of positions. So, well, that's good. But remember what they say about jack of all trades? I'll keep saying this. Chelsea needs an actual experienced striker with winning pedigree. Liam Delap, a young striker, enormous upside, high ceiling, and 2-3 years from now can be an absolutely world-class striker for sure, but he's not there yet. And sometimes you need to have a player that you can learn off of. You most certainly can learn from Nicholas Jackson, except it's how to get a red card. That's not going to happen. You're not going to learn from Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson can prove me wrong, but right now, there's nothing you're saying a player is learning from Nicholas Jackson right now. And definitely, he's not going to learn from McGee because McGee is younger than him. I think he's 2 or 3 years younger than Liam Delap, and he even has less experience than Liam Delap, so he's not going to be learning from him. It would have been better you have a Gyökeres, a Victor Osimhen as your number 1 striker, play 60 minutes, and you have your Delap coming in 30 minutes to go and just owning defenders that have been running to the ground. It would have been better. But apparently, it does seem, despite my best wishes, my best intentions, doesn't seem like Chelsea are interested in getting Victor Osimhen. And that's fine. Talks of Juventus, discussing internally about signing Victor Osimhen. Let's see what happens. I don't know what you're discussing. Someone who already knows the Italian league goes to Juventus, he's going to absolutely smash it. I'm telling you, Victor Osimhen is a walking 20-goal-a-season striker. Victor Osimhen is one of those strikers that can go to bed, wake up groggy, face not washed, teeth not brushed, just one boot on, can walk into the season and get you 20 goals. No questions asked. Because he is that sort of player. Don't let all this crazy PR fool you. And I know the salary, I don't know. But get it done. If you want him, get him done. Because let's have a look at things. Let's be realistic for a second. You're not getting Harry Kane from Bayern. He will retire there. Except maybe there's some special deal when he's like 37, and then he ends up at Spurs for one more season, sort of like a valedictory service of some sort. Maybe. You're not getting Lewandowski. And why would you want to get Lewandowski? He's pretty much ancient at the moment. If a 29-year-old goalkeeper is ancient in the eyes of the Chelsea board, then for sure Lewandowski should be in a retirement home by that sort of estimation. But he's still scoring goals, but he's not a player. You're not even getting from Barca. Maybe 2-3 years time that's when you get him, and then he's well into He's 40. So who are the strikers that you can actually get? Vlahovic, Victor Osimhen is better than him. Lukaku, you're not getting Lukaku from Conte. Conte now has him the second time around, and this time he has him on a permanent deal. You're not getting Lukaku from Napoli. The only way you get Lukaku from Napoli is if Conte leaves. And Conte isn't going anywhere. He's just won the league title, so at least he has one more season. So who is that striker out, the experienced striker that has tons and tons of goals stuck in his boots, saved under the sole of his boots? Victor Osimhen. So if you're Juventus, you sign a striker that knows the league, that scores goals everywhere he's been. Now, let me tell you one thing about Victor Osimhen. I know this is fan, but I'll come back. What about Victor Osimhen? There was something, a tweet I saw where someone was talking about the goals he scored, talking about 20 goals he scored in Chaloa, about 18 goals he scored, in Lille, and 173 goals he scored, in Napoli, and then 37 goals he scored in Canada. That's all right. And then someone came and said, "Oh, but apart from Wolfsburg, the Spurs apparently was trying to be a smart Alec, but obviously it's what you technically call a dum-dum." Now, yeah, Victor Osimhen went to Wolfsburg as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. He struggled. He barely played. He was injured. So he struggled. So do you want to pick that and say that's what you want to judge him by? It's just like judging Harry Kane by his time at Leicester City. Would it make any sense to you? If someone said, "Oh, Harry Kane scored this much goals for Spurs, and look at how many goals he's scoring for Bayern," and someone says, "Oh, but at Leicester he struggled," wouldn't you look at that person like, don't you need to get the cobwebs out of your brain? Of course you would, because that would just be, there's a movie we used to watch when we were growing up called Drunken Master. You think that person was the lead character in that movie. But moving on. So, REJECTED&Eze off to Arsenal, Spurs, lost that one. Kudus, that deal has been rejected. And honest Ahanor, to join Atalanta, for me, I think that's a brilliant move. I wonder what you think about that. And there's a Nigerian player eligible to play for Nigeria. So he's joined Valenciennes. I think it's a French club in second division of the French league. So for me, that's not really, really good. But on the flip side of it, you want to say, okay, you go there and you rebuild your career. He used to be on the books of Chelsea, the academy at Chelsea, and then he left Chelsea, went to Southampton, and then Southampton got loaned to Bolton, and then at the end of the season he came back to Southampton, and his contract was mutually terminated, and then he joined the second division team in France. I hope he plays well. I hope he can build his career from there, and then end up back in top flight football where I think he belongs. And I want to talk about Rio Ngoma. People have said I don't pronounce the name rightly. Show me how to pronounce it, and I'll get it right. I used to struggle with Tolu Arokodare. Now I pronounce the name without even thinking I can pronounce it. So if you know the right pronunciation, let me know. So he was on the books of Chelsea, and when he was about making this move from Chelsea to Liverpool, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Chelsea, you didn't give this 16-year-old game time in the Premier League." I said this. I said, if you're a young player, 16, 17, 18, don't be in a hurry to leave your parent club. Don't be in a hurry to leave that club that scouted you as an 8-year-old and then trained you till you got to be 16, 17. Don't be in a hurry to leave that club. If you want to leave, plan it properly. If you want to leave, what you do is you stay at that club till you're 18 years old, when under FIFA rules, you can now make moves outside of the country. And then you make a move to a club like a Dortmund, a Frankfurt, clubs in the German Bundesliga, where you will be given game time to play first team football. And it's all about resources. In the Premier League, clubs have a lot of money. Sometimes they have more money than sense, because a club can sign a player for £90 million this summer, and then by January, that's all set to let that player go and go for another player for 100 million. But when a German club signs you, they do their utmost to get the absolute best from you. and you get game time, and you get to play, and and you improve as a player because you're getting that game time, and then you would also up your market value. Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham City. He left Birmingham City, went on to straight to Dortmund, played there. So he had game time, regular game time there, playing Champions League football. Now he's at one of arguably the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid. So that's what I said about Ray Ngoma. But people were like, oh, what do you mean? You should go. Let him go. And then Liverpool fans, as usual, because for some people, everything is tribal. It's not about common sense anymore. Just, I support this club, so I must support whatever happens to this club. Oh, tears, I drink your tears. Oh, come over, Liverpool. Blah, 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 blah. Now, he isn't getting any game time. And am I shocked? No. Because I've seen this happen time and time again. Because what people don't get is when you go to another club, let's say you were scouted at Liverpool as an 8-year-old, and you grew to the ranks, and at 16 years you left Liverpool and you come to Chelsea. What happens is at Chelsea, there will be a couple of players that have been scouted at Chelsea from when they were 6, from when they were 8, and they have been trained. And as they're being trained, this attachment between the coaches at the club that give recommendations to the first team coaches, they have this attachment. So you coming from Liverpool like that, you're never going to be placed ahead of those players. Never. It was not going to happen. It will not happen. And Real Goma at this point in time, people have come, oh, we're trying to give him more game time. More game time where? When you sign Florian Wirtz, a 21-year-old in his spot, he's not going to play. Let's just face facts and honest truth. Rio is not going to play for Liverpool, at least not this season or in the next 2 seasons. Because are you telling me for some odd reason, suddenly the club spends £160 million on Florian Wirtz, one of the best 10s in the world, and then he's going to be dropped for maybe 2 years' time? He's going to be 18. Rio is going to be 18. So are you telling me that Florian Wirtz is going to be dropped for Rio? No. Maybe he gets 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here. The same sort of game time he would have gotten at Chelsea. So this is a message to all young players. Don't be in a hurry, in a mad rush to run away from the club you're at. Sometimes players don't understand that their agents work for them. Agents are so eager to get you out of the club, to another club so they can earn some money. Tell them, let me grow here. When you're 18, you can make that move to leagues where you actually get to play, where you actually be used. So for me, I'm concerned about him because there is a surname I can produce. His actual last name is Adigun, which means he can play for Nigeria when the time comes. That's why I'm concerned about his development. Another player that I'm concerned about his development as well is Tyreek Judge. And this is of no fault of his, but it's just the way Chelsea decided to sign players. For me, we had Noni Madueke, we have Perineto, and they said, we're going to get another winger. They've gotten Bino Gittins, a 20-year-old. What does that mean? That means that left wing is shut down for Tyreek Judge. Because Bino Gittins is 20, Tyreek Judge is 18. So you do the math. If Bino Gittins plays for 5 years, Tyreek Judge's development will be stalled. So for me, the concern is, would he have enough game time? And I don't think he will. Enzo Maresca will come up to an interview and say, oh, we'll get game time. I don't think he will. So my advice to him would be, and his agents, his representatives, I know they watch the show. I don't think they do actually. I don't think they do. But my advice would be, seek for loan moves, for proper loan moves. Strasbourg is stacked. That's what people don't know. They say, oh, multi-club network. Strasbourg is a club that's part of the same owner, that's under the same ownership group as Chelsea. They also have limits as to the number of players they can have at their club. So you can't just keep packing players and sending players up there, like it's some sort of storage facility. No, they have a limit. So I think his agents should begin to look at maybe Dortmund, and that would have been a good move, You're getting the Gittins in for this long-term contract that Chelsea usually offer players right now. You say, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to send Tyreek Jordan, as part of the deal on a loan, on a 2-year loan, and he goes there and expresses himself, and he will be fantastic because the Bundesliga is a league for wingers. It's made for wingers to look absolutely good because the ball goes into the wingers really quick. The game is played at an electrifying pace. Every team there wants to play with it with crazy high lines. So Tyreek Jordan would absolutely thrive in the German league. So for me, I think it's time he considers his at least short-term future at Chelsea, because while I'm a Chelsea fan and wanting to play and thrive at Chelsea, that's not really going to happen now, is it? You've got Bino Gittins, you've got Neto, you've got Noni Madueke that I'll speak about in a bit. And then, of course, you've got Pedro coming in, who is not actual number 9, so that means he may play in one of those wide positions, And then you've got Quenda coming in. I forgot about that guy, Quenda, coming in next season, returning from his loan, from Sporting Lisbon. He'll be coming in. And then you've got Estevao William, who, of course, because it's signed for big money, he's also coming in. So everywhere is kind of blocked. Now, speaking about Chukwu Nonso Madueke. For those of you who don't know, his name is Chukwu Nonso Madueke. So they decided to add some spice to it and call it Noni Madueke. That's fine, no worries. So Chukwu Nonso Madueke apparently is on the list of attackers for that Arsenal are looking at. Now, there's a stream I was watching, and a Chelsea fan was trying to justify how Noni Madueke is a good backup for Bukayo Saka. For me, that was slightly insulting and even more so condescending to Noni Madueke, in my opinion. Because I think Noni Madueke has the pace, he has the strength, he's got the skill. I think he's more skillful on the ball than Bukayo Saka, but he definitely has to improve with his end product. But speaking about end product, he scored 7 goals with 3 assists this season, and the golden boy of Chelsea that every Chelsea fan seems to be in love with, Pedro Neto, has scored 6 goals with 4 assists, so 10 goal contributions, same. So why is everyone crazy about Pedro Neto and Noni Madueke? Oh, he has holes in his socks. What? He sacks his shot. What? I am ancient. I'm not going to sack my shots. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But these young kids, this is their time. Bandana, turn socks, sack shots, that's their thing. But you use that to judge a player on the pitch. Are you okay? I don't think you are, if that's what you do. If that's what you do, oh, he has his short sacks down. But you love Lamine Yamal with his yellow hair. These are young players. These are footballers. That's what they do. For me, as long as you're not committing any crime, you're not doing anything evil, you're playing football, whatever style you want to do, that's left for you. That's not this. I'm not going to go for anybody to say, okay, please advise me on style choices. Where do you buy your jeans? No. But he is a very, very good footballer. And I've asked people, Bino Gittins levels above Noni Madueke. I said, calm down. Mention one thing. One, that Gittins is better at than Madueke. None. What does he do better? No. For me, I don't want Madueke to be sold. I don't want him to be sold. But if he's sold, and I think Noni Madueke is kind of like your Marco Alonso, right? And your Cucurella. If you remember, Marcos Alonso was the player that everyone chose to blame. Marcos Alonso could score a goal, a game-winning goal, a game-drawing goal, and he'll be the one blamed. Cucurella, prior to the midpoint of 2 seasons ago and then this season, he was the one that everyone chose to blame, even when he had a good game. This season, Noni Madueke will score a goal, he'll come up with an assist in that same game, he'll be the one that will be criticized. What is going on here? What's happening? Pedro Neto playing games, no goals, no assists, but what are you talking about? He didn't play well. While I'm not saying ship him off to Siberia, But I'm saying just be fair. This player scored a goal, you criticize him. This other player didn't score any goal, but you're praising him. Why? And then people start coming up, oh, he sacks his shot, he doesn't drop back. I said, do you need my glasses? You need my glasses so you can see. So I'm not going on a rant here on Noni Madueke, but I'm just saying this. Noni Madueke, if he goes to Arsenal, I'm sure the very minute he plays for Arsenal, some Chelsea fans will be in tears because I think he is more than not even say perfect, that's wrong. I think he is good enough to compete, not even be a backup with Bukayo Saka. He is good enough to compete. Some people have these things where they worship a manager so much where they can't criticize anything the manager does. And for me, I'm not one of those. I will criticize you if you're right. If you're wrong, sorry, I'll criticize you. If you get this right in my books, in my opinion, I'll say, yes, you got it right. So the way Enzo Maresca uses his wingers, does that really get them to play at the best, to the best of their abilities? I don't think so. Let me know your opinions in the comment section. So I'll run down all the sort of topics we've talked about today. So Luis Diaz, bid for Luis Diaz have been rejected by Liverpool from Bayern, according to some reports. So we'll take some opinions about that. And then you've got Honest Ahanor, wonder kid from Genoa, wing back signed by Atalanta. At least that's what the reports say. Just some opinions on that. Is this someone you think the NFL should look at? So that's it with that one. And then let's talk about Juventus being interested in Victor Osimhen. So for me, I think if they're interested in him, given how they played against him against Real Madrid yesterday or 2 days ago, I think they need to get him in the building. That's my opinion. I think they need to get him in the building. If Chelsea are going on with this thing where once you're past 24, once you're past 22, you now should be in the museum, should be hung up for people to admire you and study how you scored goals. I think he would go there and he would thrive. So what happened with that one? And then of course we've talked about Nigeria eligible player Olaofe moving from Stockport to Charlton Athletic. Let's see how that one shakes out. And then of course Spurs have been rejected by the bid by Spurs was rejected by West Ham. So it was £50 million plus 50 million in add-ons that was rejected. I'd say if you want that player, go on and pay what you need to pay for the player. Now everyone is now a business professional. Oh, make the first bid, make the club feel like you're not interested in the player, make fun of the selling club, and so maybe they'll be so enamored with your poor offer that they will go on to accept it. So when you should be making the offer, you need to make. Just like Arsenal of them days, people seem to forget. When Arsenal would make crazy offers short of £1 million, short by £1 million, and then would get rejected. If you can remember the offer they made for, what's his face now, Gonzalo Higuain. Arsenal made a crazy low offer for him, and he ended up going to Napoli. And that season, he absolutely tore the Serie A. Apart, scoring all those goals under Maurizio Sarri. So, some opinions on these pieces of transfer topics. We talked about really crazy news. João Pedro officially announced as a Chelsea player. He says his dream was to play for a top title challenging club in the Premier League. Chelsea is a top club history, but title challenging this season, with the business that the club has done, would you say Chelsea, are ready to challenge for the title this season? For me, I'm a Chelsea fan. I should say yes, but no, I have to be honest. You still have Robert Sanchez as your number one goalkeeper. Yeah, he is the number one. He saved 9 points for Chelsea, so he's your number one. And then you still have inexperienced strikers up front. So you have that issue. And then your winger situation, Madueke is good for sure, I agree. And then Neto, Gittins coming in, or João Pedro, I don't know what he is at this moment. Let's see how Enzo Maresca gets to use him. So let's see how that shakes down. And then the lap still yet to mature. Let's see how that shapes out as well. And then the question we have to ask about Enzo Maresca. Everyone wants to feel like they're this advanced modern football fan that's into the data, that's into new things. See, no matter how the world gets modern and progressive, if you use a spoon to cut a piece of meat, it will still be very strange. People will still look at you weirdly, like something's wrong with you. And I dare say they could be correct if you're using a spoon to cut a piece of meat. Playing a fullback in the midfield. It's strange. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know some people want to go, sometime I saw a post on X and someone was trying to convince himself that playing fullbacks out of position, it's a good idea. Tuchel played Reece James at left back or something like that, and then someone said, "You see, look at how Tuchel is using Reece James." If it was at Chelsea, people would blame Enzo Maresca. Yeah, the fact that someone walks with their tongue doesn't mean that that person's brain is correct. Because that person walks with their tongue is still wrong. So playing fullbacks out of position, playing players out of position is wrong. I grew up watching football where you had players who were very good, so good that they were so dynamic that they could do crazy things in the position that they played. Like you had your Lucio. Lucio was, for all intents and purposes, a central defender, a center back. But he could get that ball, do step overs like a midfielder, glide past players, but he was a center back. Roberto Carlos, pace, a more powerful shot than a lot of strikers, but he was still a fullback. But he was dynamic in that left fullback position. Thierry Henry cut out on that left. Play from the left, cutting on his right foot. He was never a winger. He was still a striker. So this tactics of Enzo Maresca has to be called into question. So with all that said, Chelsea league title? No. What I think Chelsea should be this season, or what I think Chelsea should be, or my expectation this season right now, let me project. Looking at Chelsea right now, I want Chelsea to be the best of the rest. The best of the rest this season, right? I'm not saying this season you go on and beat Arsenal. If you beat Arsenal, that's fine. But every team from third below, Chelsea should be beaten. At least should have a winning record. That is, you win, you draw, you win, you draw. Winning record against every other team from third below. That's my expectation for Chelsea this season. You do that, finish comfortably in the top four, qualify for the Champions League again, maybe win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. It's a shame, but really, I was expecting that Chelsea would compete for the league title this season. But yeah, well, that's not going to happen with the business that have been done, and the business that Liverpool have done. Look at what Liverpool have done. For me, they have won this transfer window, and it's not even closed. You've got Vitz in the building. You've got Frimpong, a more dynamic right back than Trent. You've got Kekej in the building as well. In addition to Mo Salah and Van Dijk, you've got Vitz in the building. So they've won it. Look at what Man City have done. Yes, Man City got absolutely pulled apart by Al Hilal. So yeah, they've been kicked out from the Club World Cup, and deservedly so. But look at the business they've done as well. Ryan Cherki is there from Lyon. Player wanted Chelsea to sign, but sporting directors, they know what they're doing. And then you've got Ahanor there already. Of course, with Erling Haaland, that would score 25 goals in his sleep. So look at the businesses other clubs have done. So Chelsea, I don't think, can really compete for a league title. While Arsenal, they talked about Arsenal getting Gyökeres as the striker. But then the question remains, really, are they really going to get him? Because if they get him, then I think it takes them to another level. Saine Bereze is good. I think he's a better player than Odegaard and will be very well suited to play that 10 role behind the striker. But the question is, who will be the striker for Arsenal. They'll talk about Sesko, so close to signing Sesko. We're not seeing Sesko. Arsenal more closer to getting Tesco than getting Sesko. So what do you do about that? And then talk about Gyökeres. And more closer to getting Licorice than Gyökeres. So Gyökeres maybe not getting it. So if Arsenal, if this transfer window ends, shuts down 1st of September, and Arsenal haven't got a number 9, an actual accomplished striker, then you can say probably they're going to finish 3rd this season. And that's a question for Arsenal fans before coming to the end of the stream. What would your opinion of Arteta be if, let's say, Liverpool wins the league again, or Man City wins the league, or by some crazy out of this world miracle, Chelsea manages to win the league, and let's say Arsenal finishes 3rd again. Let's not say finish 2nd again. Let's not say 3rd or 4th. Finishes 2nd. What would your take on Arteta be? Would you say give him another year, or would you say out you go? So at this point, I want to thank everyone who's watched this video from this stream from beginning to end, and thanks for watching. If you subscribe, thank you. If you're about to subscribe, thank you as well. If you haven't subscribed, thank you in advance, and thank you for sharing this video and this channel to people who love content like this. And I'll see you on just another video.